Sony is in a bit of a rough place right now as gamers have been furious at them over PlayStation Network account requirements on PC games, and of course they just lost Square Enix exclusivity, but now they're reportedly delaying live service PS5 games to 2025 due to the lack of quality. Now, of course, we recently found out that they were getting new co-CEOs over at PlayStation. It seems like, of course, they decided to pick two people who were already kind of part of the sphere, people who have already worked at Sony for many, many years, people who already knew the ins and outs of the company, which should bode in their favor. But now we're finding out that apparently they are pushing back all of their PS5 live service games to 2025 and 2026 to brush up everything. But that's a little bit odd since Sony has said they expect PlayStation 5 sales to fall and that the console is entering the later stages of its life. They only had just recently said that back in February, so not even that long ago. And of course, let's be clear, there's a rumor of a PlayStation 5 Pro, and, let's talk about what it is. It's not a new system. It's not a new SoC. It's just a souped up version of the console, a tweaked CPU, faster memory, same SoC, and yes, if you don't already have a PlayStation 5, it will be worthwhile to get, but we're not talking about a PlayStation 6 here, and I think that that's very important to point out. It's an iteration of existing PlayStation 5 hardware, not a successor, but obviously, video games have been in a bit of a rough state when it comes to especially live service titles. People hear live service and they want to steer clear. We instantly think of games like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and the awful Marvel's Avengers game that came out. And it sounds like behind the scenes they are kind of freaking out. They're not exactly sure what to do because to push back games to 2025 and 2026 means we could potentially see a pretty big gap in video game releases, that we go through periods of time where there's not really anything launching. And this excuse really sounds like just that, an excuse to brush up everything. It sounds like these games are not in a good state, and so they're just delaying them and pushing them off, hoping that a little bit more development time will make them better. The initial question about the return on investment from new studios it acquired and the timeline of live service releases was talked about in an interview where Totoki presented his view on the delayed return, saying for the first-party software for financial year 25 and 26, the tentpole-like titles and live services will be launched. Basically, the first-party software needs to be ramped up. So for this reason, we are making investment in that area and we are continuing to develop. Return is not yielded based on the original expectation because it has slippage, and the brushing up of titles and also the quality may not be as high as expected by the user, so we have to brush up on the titles. Yes, we do expect really high quality products when you are pricing them at $70, never mind situations like Final Fantasy VII where you have one game being split into 3 and each of those are $60 to $70 purchases for the standard edition. Now, of course, this should be a very positive thing, hearing them say, we are really trying to make games higher quality and we want to impress people, but at the same time, it's very hard to believe what they say at this point because they have disappointed us so many times recently. Again, we had the shift up, Sony Stellar Blade censorship situation. We had the PSN account requirements with certain games, and unfortunately, Sony has lost my trust and many other people's trust. So I will be keeping my eye on this, but it does sound like they are delaying a lot of live service PlayStation 5 games to 2025 and 2026, and things aren't looking super positive for Sony. But that's all that I had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.